So this video is for the parents, and as you know, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Parental Bill of Rights. The New Hampshire House of Representatives, it failed in. There's still a bill coming forward from the Senate that would do the same thing. But I need to talk to you because these bills shouldn't be necessary. When I was in the State House, a Bill of Rights came forward, a Parental Bill of Rights came forward, and we were cautioned to kill it because it codified rights of parents, and parents' rights shouldn't be codified. The 14th Amendment should protect all parental rights. Unfortunately, since that time, we have seen what's been happening with the policies coming forward to strip parents of their rights. It is up to you. I'm putting the onus on you, the parents. There are already bills in place in the state of New Hampshire. We sponsored parental notification bills when it comes to surveys, parental notification bills when it comes to course material for your children. And we don't see you being proactive in those things. So if you don't look like you're paying attention, these school boards are going to think that they can slide anything by you. It's on you to protect your kids. But on the flip side of that, these parental right bills that get killed, they're using the argument that if you have a child that is gay or transgender, you will no longer love your child. The New Hampshire Dem chairman said you will actually abuse your child, and it has been stated that conservative parents will actually kill their children. You need to fight back on that. We all need to fight back on that. But as parents, we need to have the conversations with our kids that are difficult. So that narrative that we won't love them, that we won't care about them anymore if they happen to say that they are gay or they are lesbian or they are transgender, that we won't love them, we will turn them out onto the streets or we will beat them. You need to have that conversation. Each one of us needs to have that conversation with our children. First of all, you have no idea what they're learning about these things on social media. There are some really scary predators out there pretending to be their friends and they're safe adults, telling them that you can't be trusted. So unless you open up this conversation with your children, it's an uncomfortable conversation. It's an awkward conversation. But as parents, we often have to have uncomfortable conversations with our kids. And if you don't know how to open it up, just start asking them, hey, so what are you watching on Snapchat or YouTube or TikTok? Like, what are you watching? Because that's really where the kids are. They're Instagram. They're not on Facebook usually. And ask them what they're watching, what they're listening to. Start talking about, hey, I've heard a lot about, transgender kids and gender questioning kids. And I wanted to know if you have any questions about that. Are your friends talking about that? Are you watching any influencers or people that are on those applications that are talking about it? Do you have any questions for me about it? How do you feel about it? And just start asking the questions with your kids. And now it's an uncomfortable conversation for them too. So they might not open up the first time or the second time or the third time. And you might get a lot of, Ma, I don't want to talk about that. Like, I don't want to talk about that stuff, because it happens. But you just need to be loving in your response. And if they say something to you, like, yeah, Mom, I didn't want to tell you, but I'm gay, take a step, take a break, leave it there. Just tell them that you love them and think about how you want to go forward with that relationship. Tell them you love them unconditionally and that, this is something that we're going to talk about as a family, and that you just need to take a breath to figure out more about it and be honest about it. Because a friend of mine who is gay made a good point about when he told his parents first when he came out, they didn't receive him the way that he wanted them to. He wanted them to be, we love you, that's great, we'll do this together. And they were kind about it, but they weren't as, I don't even want to say as joyful about it as he wanted them to be. And only as an adult did he realize that in their mind, they had plans for him that were no longer going to be those same plans. His life was going to look different than they had thought it was going to look. And they needed to take a breath to realign what they thought the future was going to be and how they could best guide him in his future, because it changed for them. And that's I think, a normal response to anything. If your child is going to go to a college that maybe it's your alma mater and you always thought your child would go to that college and then they choose something different, you have to realign the way that you think about it, right? As parents, we always have to realign the way our hopes and dreams for our kids aren't necessarily their hopes and dreams. Our paths that we see for their lives aren't necessarily their paths. And it's okay to take a breath and think about how you want to respond, but make sure your first response is that I love you and we're just going to talk about this more. I just want to understand more about this. But I love you, you're my child, and I'm always here for you. That should be the response. And then you have time to work it out together and find out the needs of your child. But you have to have those conversations, because these school policies and everything they're seeing on social media, and the leaders in our country, our legislators, are telling your children that you will not love them, accept them, let them stay in your home. You will kick them to the curb. You will disown them. You will hate them for the rest of their lives. That is the message that they are sending. So if your child needs to speak with you, they're now afraid to, because these people are grooming them to go to other adults outside of your home, and they're telling them that those are the trusted people. These strangers they don't know are their trusted adults. They love them. There are TikTok influencers that are out there saying, I love you. These are people that don't know your children, they don't know your family, they've never met them. But they say, I will accept you. Your parents don't love you. They don't understand you. So that is my message to parents. Regardless of these parental bill of rights, you need to take control of your family. You need to take control of the conversations, and you need to lead the conversation and just ask them what they're learning. Now with the little ones that might be having these conversations in kindergarten and first grade, which is what we're seeing, just make sure that you just keep asking them what they talked about in school. What did you talk about today? What did you learn today? And I find that sometimes kids are more open when you're doing something like you're coloring with them, or you're baking with them, or they're in an activity you're engaged in an activity, instead of just sitting at the table talking or in the car talking. Sometimes there are great conversations in the car, but sometimes they can also feel like, because they're with you in that space, that they might be interrogated. So I have found my own experience, but I've got two boys, so it might be different with your children. But my own experience says that if I was building Legos with them or coloring with them and talking to them, they were more open with me than if it was just sitting at the table and saying, what's going, how was your day? What's going on? No, nothing. What'd you do today? Nothing. We get all those. We get the nothings. And sometimes you have to figure out how to change the question so that you can change the dynamic of the conversation. And usually once you can break through that little conversational barrier, then they talk for a long time and they'll tell you, they'll chat you right up. But I think it's really important that parents understand that you need to be having these conversations with them, telling them that you love them no matter what, that you're hearing a lot about this stuff and you just want to make sure that they're okay with it. If they have any questions, they can come to you. If they're confused, they can come to you. And you need to initiate these conversations in your home, because somebody else will be initiating them outside of your home. Hang in there, moms and dads. We have each other's backs.